It's the Gators and the Dogs in the SEC on ESPN.
Get set for the Florida Gators and the Mississippi State Bulldogs. And hey, SEC on ESPN, and it's rumbling a little bit a couple minutes ago. Could the Dogs bite the Gators? Let's go down to the third member of our team, Erin Andrews.
Well, Brad, they're going to have to do that with a injury-riddled defense. The Florida Gators, 3 guys from the defensive line are out, and we just have some last-minute news on linebacker Brandon Spikes. He's been dealing with a groin injury. He did warm up with the team. I was told as the team ran out that he could potentially go tonight. Brandon Spikes told me he was about 80%, but they're going to see if they need him. Now, the good news for Florida, a lot of depth on that D-line. They've been rotating guys in and out. The bad news, Anthony Dixon from Mississippi State, the strength of that Bulldog offense. Charlie Strong, the defensive coordinator, telling me we have got to tackle tonight better than they did against Arkansas, and they've got to create some turnovers. Brad?
All right, Erin. Mississippi State won the toss. They want the football. Sturgis with a kickoff. It'll go to Leon Berry at the 5. Berry sneaks up the sideline and got to about the 30-yard line. And that's where Tyson Lee will take over with the Bulldogs offense. Tyson Lee, quite a story in his own rights. Had to kind of search around to find anybody that even let him walk on Division I. He's from right here in Columbus, Mississippi. Now he's a starting quarterback. And he's quite a leader for a little guy.
He really is. I mean, he understands the offense. He's got a nice arm. He can throw the football. His only problem is he's short. And so consequently, you've got to create throwing lanes for him to give him a chance. As
Aaron said, Spikes would go if he could, or if they need him, they won't start with him on that defense. And quite frankly, that changes a lot of things. I think just the intensity and the leadership that he brings is a big story.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the good news for Florida is it didn't happen in the middle of the game like it did last week. At least they had to practice all week with Stamper in as the middle linebacker, so it's not as devastating for him to not be there tonight as it was last week. But he is the heart and soul of this Gator defense.
Mississippi State won't huddle very often tonight, if at all. Here's Lee in the shotgun, empty backfield. And he throws and completes it. And a nice throw across the 40-yard line to Marcus Green. So the initial first down of the ball game off the right arm of Tyson Lee. Let's take a look at our impact players. Anthony Dixon, all-time leading rusher now, past Jarius Norwood this year for that honor. Chad Bump is just a freshman, but he's a big play guy. If they get it in number 1's hands, he can take it to the house. And Jamar Chaney, spending time with him yesterday, he was ready to tackle somebody yesterday.
Didn't have much to say.
No, he didn't. Just the eyes.
Just kept looking at you. Kind of funny there.
So it's 1st and 10, Mississippi State. Just inside its own 43-yard line. Lee, this one batted up in the air, and it's intercepted. Florida's got it. So there, the stature of the quarterback probably had a lot to do with it. The ball tipped in the air, and Florida's got it.
Yeah, they tried to cut him. Derek Sherrod, the left tackle, tried to cut Dunlap, but watch right here. Dunlap's got a huge wingspan, and they try to cut him. But Dunlap fends off the block and is still able to get his hands up, and then A.J. Jones gets the interception.
Yep, a great opportunity. You wonder if Florida doesn't go for the juggler right here at the 46-yard line.
The play-action passing game of Tim Tebow and the Florida offense, that's what Mississippi State has to guard against. They're going to be so anxious to come up and hit on the run. Be careful.
Tebow's in trouble. Hitters and throws, and down he goes, and the pass is incomplete. And immediately they bring pressure with the Mississippi State defense. And that's what Arkansas did a very nice job of last week.
Well, the pressure's going to come off the edge here. They're going to come this way to his blind side. He doesn't see it. He's reading right the whole time. And that's just really a poor job by Carl Johnson, the left tackle, not getting a good piece of that rush.
Corey Bloomfield came flying off that corner. It's 2nd down and 10. And that's Tebow on the option. He'll pitch it late, and he got it down the sideline to Brandon James. Let's see where they mark him out at about the 26-yard line. Jonathan Banks finally got him outside the chalk. Pickup of 20.
When Florida runs their option-type offense, you've got to take care of all 3 things. The guy who could run it on the dive, the quarterback, and the pitch man. They had 2 of the 3 covered. They didn't have the pitch guy covered, and Tebow read it.
Now Tebow with Dents with him in the backfield. And it will be Demp's first carry. And a penalty marker down as Demps goes down after a pickup of about a yard. But again, marker on the play. Van Wagers is our referee. And it's an illegal shift against Florida. Let's take a look at our impact players for the Florida Gators. Deontay Thompson, long ball threat if they can get it to him. They hope to do that sometime tonight. We've already seen Carlos Dunlap being an impact player with that tip pass that was intercepted. And Joe Hayden on the back end, when he's in there and Spikes isn't, he kind of takes the leadership role. And now 4 wideouts bunched to the top of your screen for Tim Tebow. Might be a double pass, going to be Demps. And Demps got to the 20. Marcus Washington brought him down.
You know, when we talked to Carl Torbush, the defensive coordinator, he was very clear in saying, you know, Tim Tebow is great. He's a great competitor. We obviously have to try to contain him, but the guy that scares us the most is Jeff Demps because of his speed. Because he's a guy, if we don't fit it right, and if we don't close the gap quickly, he can take it 80 yards for a touchdown. He's the one that they're most concerned with.
Talking about a big third down in the opening minutes of the ballgame. 3rd and 4. This would be huge for Mississippi State if they could force a field goal after that interception. Here's the throw, back out and down on one knee, and that's incomplete anyway. So they did hold, and it's 4th down. Well, the interception looks as though it can be no worse than 3 points as Carl Torbush and his defense stops the Gators with that short field. Sturgis, the hero last week, with the late field goal to beat Arkansas. It'll be a 37-yard attempt. And the kick is going to be wide left. Well, there's a small gift for the Bulldog faithful.
If a car wants to impress...
From the family, from the guy next to you, from this crowd, everybody in this state that's behind you, you take all that energy, that giant love, you focus it into every single play of this game. Get it into that one powerful point. Do your job on every single play. Do your job. Between plays, let it explode on each other.
Well, let's see if they explode with their second offensive series. Dan Mullen with his final words before his team took the field. 37-year-old first-year head coach here in Starkville. Tyson Lee with a little option. Dixon got about 3. Anthony John with A.J. Jones, who had the interception on the previous drive.
You know, this was funny. I mean, Dan Mullen had his guys locked in and focused, but look at this clock in the locker room. It said 10 after 2. It's a night game.
Ball's on the ground at the 30. It's going to be very close to a first down for Dixon. Not everything has to work to perfection. You know?
As long as the guys are locked in, the clock doesn't have to be, or plugged in for that matter.
His big word all week was locked in.
Yeah, absolutely.
The clock was locked in on the wrong time. That's all. 2 tight ends set now. And here's Lee trying to get on the edge, and the throw to Dixon, and Dixon heading for another first down or very close to it.
I saw a lot of this in practice on Thursday. Coming into tonight's game, Dixon only had 4 catches for 15 yards. Kind of a non-factor in the passing game. A quick snap, a quick move to the edge, give Tyson a better chance to see the field, and then get the ball in the hands of their best player in a little different spot on the field.
2nd down at about a yard. And it's Lee in the gun. Dixon with it. Florida almost jumped. Dixon will get the call, and he'll get the first down. Well, Mississippi State's got another first down, and again, they cross the 40-yard line as you take a look at their starting lineups up on the top of your screen. Again, very seldom will they huddle up. At times, it'll be a very quick snap and a quick play. Sometimes they'll use the entire clock before they snap it. Robert Elliott in the backfield now with Dixon. There again, the Bulldogs gave the look as though they were going to go and take their time, look to the sideline. And now they're under 10 on the clock. Dupree busts outside. And Dupree's got another first down.
Well, this is really a great start for Mississippi State as we look at Brandon Spikes on the sideline. They're mixing, run and pass. They've got the Florida defense that they have so much respect for, but they have them back on their heels a little bit early in this ball game.
Basically had 3 backs in there that time. And Dupree, who's a good one, and spells Dixon at times, picks up the first down. Now off play action, they're going to flip it out, complete to Heavens. Heavens, nice move, another first down to the 32-yard line of Florida.
And really a nice job by Leon Berry out there leading in the blocking. O'Neal Wilder also out there. When you throw those kind of bubble screens, wide receiver screens, the other receivers have to be involved. Nice play for the Bulldogs.
And right now they've got the Gator defense in the SEC. Whoa, that throw had some smoke on it, a little bit too much. Evans trying to make the catch and can't. Brings up second down and 10.
You know, I thought it was interesting when we talked to Urban Meyer on Wednesday, and I asked him, you know, I mean, what's the best advantage Dan has from being with you and being familiar with you? And he was pretty short about it. He said, I think it's a wash. I think it gets down to players executing, and I agree with that. But I also think Mississippi State will have the best preparation for this game of any game this season on both offense and defense.
Second down and 10 at the 32. No score here. 5 minutes into the game at Starkville. Lee, quick throw, got it complete. Down to the 26-yard line to O'Neal Wilder. Let's check in with Aaron.
And just to add on Todd's point, you know, we asked Dan Mullen, I did, when did you start, you know, getting your guys ready for this? And he said Sunday, because for him, that's when he had to start prepping. He knows this team inside out, this Gators team, and it was quick time for him. It was kind of like a sped up process.
He said to me this morning, we were in the workout room, and he was on the elliptical, and I wasn't. And he said, you know, they talk about me knowing everything Florida's going to do. They know everything I'm going to do, too. It goes both ways. Right. So there's the wash that Todd was talking about. Lee, low snap, comes up firing. Incomplete behind his intended receiver. And again, trying to get it to Brandon Heavens.
One thing that Tyson Lee is doing a nice job of tonight, even though he has the 1 interception, he is not holding on to that ball very long. I mean, he is reading it, and he's getting rid of the ball quickly. He knows where he wants to go with the ball, and he's making quick decisions.
Now, normally, Sean Broccoli would be the kicker, and he's got a quad pull, so that puts it on Derek DePasquale, who can kick as well, but maybe not as deep. He's going to try a 43-yarder here. Trying to give Mississippi State the lead. Kick on the way, and it is perfect. Well, that's the way you get the crowd on your side, huh? First points on the board by the Bulldogs. Tim Tebow wants to change that when we come back.
Hotels at Hampton, we love having you here. And in part by Outback Steakhouse. Live adventurous. Go Outback.
Derek DePasquale with a field goal for Mississippi State to take the lead. Their plan to win was to play great defense. They already did, holding Florida without getting a field goal. They haven't taken care of the ball that well. And the special teams battle, so far 3-0 in that area.
Well, you know, that plan to win, I mean, you could say that's Mississippi State. It's also Florida's. Yeah. It's the exact same. And you mentioned Dan Mullen and Urban Myers together in 4 different places. And I've heard Urban Meyer start his press conference after a game detailing how they did in the plan to win.
They were together at Notre Dame, Bowling Green, Utah, and then Florida before Dan got the head job here. And now he's got the lead here early in the ball game. 3-0. Short kick, very short, taken at the 15 by Brandon James. And pretty nice job, though, of only giving him a short return after the 27-yard line. Coming up on Monday night, 2 NFC East rivals clash this week on Monday Night Football. Donovan McNabb and the Eagles taking on Clinton Portis and the Washington Redskins. ESPN's Monday Night Football, 8:30 Eastern Time. Coverage starts with Monday Night Countdown served by Applebee's at 7 o'clock.
So you want to be a head coach in the NFL, eh, Jim Jordan?
You bet. Wow. I was thinking they were going to pull you out of retirement center where you're calling bingo numbers to call the plays in that game, but I guess not. The franchise that's trying to find its way. And so are we, and so is Tim Tebow. Florida first down. Gives it off to Chris Rainey. And Rainey, tough run up to the 35-yard line. Rainey and Demps have that kind of speed that you can practice all week and scheme all week about, and your scout team's never going to show you how fast these guys are.
Yeah, I mean, you've got great speed in those two, and then you got the sledgehammer, number 15, when he runs it in the shorter yardage situation. He's not going to bust an 80-yard run on you, but he's going to punish you when he runs the football.
Think about his running ability last week in the win over Arkansas, kind of like Mark Ingram did when we had Alabama and South Carolina. Just put it in one guy's hands and ride it down the field. And here he comes, bulldozing his way out to midfield and a first down. 27 times Tim carried the football last week, and that was just a couple of weeks removed from having the concussion. Mom and Dad looking on.
Well, again, you've got to defend everything. They tackle the back. Tim Tebow does the right thing, pulls the ball out, and heads right up into that voided area. And again, he doesn't do a whole lot of fancy stuff, but you better bring it when you try to tackle him.
He got 15 right there. Now he's wanting to pass, and he'll run instead. And he's got 8 more yards. That's what he can do so well. His receiver wasn't open. Just tucked it and took off. He's got 23 yards in the last 2 carries.
We're seeing some of the same kind of things with the Florida offense that we saw last week in the Arkansas game, and that is pressure on Tim Tebow.
Yep.
I mean, I think this is a really good offensive line, particularly a run-blocking offensive line. But in the pass protection department, Tim Tebow's had some problems.
Arkansas had 6 sacks last week. Here's Emmanuel Moody. Nice double move to get to the corner. Whoa, look out, everybody. Got a first down run down to about the 33-yard line, I think is where they're going to mark it.
When Dan Mullen left to take the head coaching job at Mississippi State, the new offensive coordinator became Steve Addazio. That's him. He's the line coach also. Now, John Hevesy, who was an assistant line coach and has been with Urban and Dan Mullen for a lot of those stops, he's the offensive line coach and the run game coordinator for Mississippi State. So a lot of familiarity with these two staffs.
On first down. Tebow will give it off inside. And Moody got 2 or 3 as we check in with Reese Davis. Reese.
Brad, a very good night on the family of networks. On ESPN2, you see Cody Burns of Auburn running close to a first down against LSU. Bayou Bengals have a touchdown pass from Jordan Jefferson to Terrence Tolliver. And on ESPNU, Vanderbilt and South Carolina have moved to the second quarter. Still no score in that game. We'll keep you up to date on everything here in the studio.
All right, fun to thank. Here, 3-0 Mississippi State. Tim Tebow and company trying to change it. Down the middle, complete to his #1 target, Riley Cooper. At least his #1 target last week. And Cooper's got another first down.
Well, this is excellent pass protection. Mississippi State came with pressure. Nice job by the line, and Aaron Hernandez also. Watch him pick up the blitz on the outside. That leaves single coverage, and Tebow does a nice job of finding his downfield guy, Riley Cooper. But it started with that pickup at the blitz.
Pickup of 21 and a first and goal as Cooper with his 24th catch of the year. And now Florida's got it down at the Bulldog 8-yard line. Tebow's going to keep it. Tim Tebow heading to the goal line. Not quite. Down to the 1.
See, that's one of those deals where even when you know, or probably are 99% sure that's what's going to happen, he's going to keep it, you still have to tackle the guy. I mean, he's still 6'3", 240 pounds, and you got to get him on the ground.
And they got him on the ground, but not before he got it to the 1-yard line. Tim Tebow is 1 rushing touchdown behind Herschel Walker in the all-time SEC record books. Tebow, did he get there? Not quite. Down at the 1-foot line. KJ Wright made first contact. So now it'll be 3rd down and goal.
Now, one of the problems of being in the shotgun as much as Florida is offensively is, you know, when you snap the ball, you've taken it from the 1-yard line back to the 4 or 5 yard line just in the snap.
And again, that's the way they'll set up. 3rd and goal. Tebow, nowhere to hide. The Bulldog defense is there to drop him, as Todd said, about at the spot that he took the snap, back at the 4-yard line.
They got penetration, what you have to do, and that's the one thing I don't like about spread offenses and shotgun snaps on the 1-yard line. The ball goes from the 1 to the 6, and Tebow barely makes it back to the 4. I mean, if you get penetration, you got problems.
So for the second time, Mississippi State's defense will force a field goal attempt. Sturgis missed the first one. This should be a chip shot from 20. Right in the middle of the field. Basically an extra point, and it's up to tie the game. But, again, Florida's offense denied. A fired-up head coach, Tim Tebow, can't score. The field goal unit does. 3-3 here in Starkville.
This guy, Pernell McPhee, got such great penetration into the backfield. He's going to take Mike Pouncey, number 55, and drive him right back into the quarterback. He doesn't get credit for the tackle, but he made the play. And for that guy, that's a big-time play. I mean, Pernell McPhee grew up in Pahokee, Florida. He grew up a Gators fan. This is a fun game for him to play in as well.
This is what everybody's been talking about all week, and Urban Meyer said, you know, I know everybody's harping on me about the red zone possessions, and look what's happened here the last 7 times. 1 touchdown, 3 field goals. So they have had trouble. Of course, it was turnover problems for the most part in the red zone last week. This time not turning it over, just getting stuffed by Carl Torbush's defensive fronts. So we're tied at 3. It was a 68-yard drive at 10 plays. Took a little over 5 minutes to tie things up. And Sturgis will kick. Again, it's going to go to Leon Berry at about the 1 this time. And Berry gets popped as he crossed the 20-yard line. Out at the 22. The last 4 games, Florida, even though some of their statistics are even better than a year ago, a pretty vast difference right now in points and the turnover margin. That'll kill you every time. It makes a lot of those things look bad. So the red zone touchdown percentage down 26%.
And the one that's most surprising to me in that is the turnover margin, because ever since Urban Meyer, and really everywhere Urban's been, and ever since he's been at Florida, they have been way in the plus side in that. And this is the first year they've been in those kind of numbers.
Yep, they're -2 right now. Actually, they'd be -1 because they got an interception earlier in the ball game. That time, Tyson Lee giving Florida a little taste of their own medicine on the quarterback keeper. Tyson, they list him at 5'10", 200. Yeah, probably not either.
Well, he's definitely not 5'10".
Quick throw. This time they do go with a quick play. And they lost yardage. Brandon McCray with a catch.
I'll tell you the thing I like about Tyson Lee, though, is, I mean, you look in his eyes. I mean, there is no hesitation in him right now. He knows exactly what Dan Mullen wants, and he is making quick decisions. There is no hesitation where he's throwing the football, what he's doing. He just, again, he's just short, and so he can't just drop back in the pocket in the normal, traditional way and throw the football all the time. I mean, he can do it some, but not all the time.
They'll be in the shotgun here on 3rd down and 10. Mississippi State only 36% of their 3rd down conversions coming in. They're going to try to roll and look out from behind. He got rid of it to Dixon, but Dixon's not going to get a first down as Janoris Jenkins will back him up. And Mississippi State's going to have to kick.
Let's go. Hey, come on.
Jenkins, an all-SEC freshman first-teamer a year ago. Dixon, we mentioned, the all-time leading rusher now, past Jarius Norwood, who's a member of the Atlanta Falcons.
This is where Mississippi State has to really be good, too. I mean, last year, this Florida team blocked 5 punts, 9 kicks altogether. They have 1 block kick this year, a punt in the Kentucky game.
And the guy on the other end has got 4 punt return touchdowns in his career. High in the air, but very short. And the fair catch is going to have to be taken by Brandon James at the 33-yard line.
39-yard
Well, fans in Chicago, Boston, and Dallas-Fort Worth, there's a place for you to go to get the latest on your teams that you care about the most. Log on to ESPNChicago.com, Boston.com, and Dallas.com for local sports, news, radio highlights, and updates, and a lot more. Brad Nessler, Todd Blackledge, Aaron Andrews in Starkville, Mississippi, where this crowd has been ready for this game since about Wednesday afternoon.
Wouldn't be surprised to see Florida try to get the ball to Aaron Hernandez right here. He hasn't touched it yet.
They keep it on the ground, attempts, and a tough run for a speedster, finally buried under, and we check in with Reese again.
All right, Brad, the showdown in the Mountain West, TCU and BYU, and the Horned Frogs are out quickly. Taco Bell studio update shows you Andy Dalton finding Ed Wesley, and old Ed's going to do Superman to get over the pylon, and he's in there. First quarter's not yet over. Dalton 6 of 8 for 88, and the Frogs up by 14.
So TCU and Boise State continue their quest in the BCS standings.
And Cincinnati.
Cincinnati.
I'm not so sure TCU's not the best of that bunch, though.
Tebow, the throw is complete. First down out to Deontay Thompson. And he's out of bounds, but he's in Mississippi State territory at about the 43-yard line. Well, Florida, believe it or not, has never been #1 in the BCS standings because they don't count at the end of the year. They only count going in. So they're #1. Alabama survived, if you missed it, on 2 blocked field goals against Tennessee. Texas playing right now, and you see the rest. As Tebow is going to keep it up the middle, and Kim gets inside the 40. Only twice in the 11 years that the BCS has been taking place has the team that initially was #1 go on to win the national championship. Florida State did it, and USC did it. It's not that Florida can't do it. It's just one of those stats that makes you wonder if a team like Florida can hold on, go all the way through this. The quest has always been get to Atlanta first, and don't worry about everything else. And, of course, Alabama held up their end barely, as most people think it's a collision course between the Tide and the Gators in the SEC title game at the Georgia Dome. Here's a shovel to Hernandez, and he stood up by that Mississippi State defense. They are playing stout right now.
Well, the strength of this defense is their linebacking core. K.J. Wright, probably the most gifted of those guys in there, their leading tackler, and he was the first guy to make contact with Hernandez there.
Bulldogs, one of the biggest games they've had here in a long time. Through 15 minutes, they're playing dead even with the top-ranked Gators.
And giving them some advice on what to expect on this third down play with the Florida offense. Again, his familiarity works on both sides of the ball.
Florida #1 in the league in third down conversions at 51%. There's what Tim Tebow has done so far through 15 minutes tonight. And he's going to keep it on a quarterback draw. Nice stiff arm, but he only got to the 35.
And see, this is what Carl Torbush told us in the meeting yesterday. He says when they go 1 back and 3 wide receivers, they're either going to throw a bubble screen or a quarterback draw. It's one or the other, and it's up to Tebow. If he doesn't like the bubble screen, he's going to run the football. And they were ready for it, and they stopped it short of the first down.
And now Florida will go on 4th down. They've only gone 6 times on 4th down so far this year. They've converted half. 4th and 2. Tebow, just no doubt, met head on, but he got it. That's where that 240 pounds comes in handy.
I mean, he is their short yardage and goal line run specialist. And at that point, he becomes a fullback.
Not only did Carl Torbush talk about with us about this, but Jamar Chaney did as well. He said, you know, you can scheme all day long, but when that 240 pounds is coming downhill towards you, it's not as easy to bring him down as you think. And so it's first down for Florida, just outside the Mississippi State 32-yard line. Rainey. And Rainey found a little crease and got to maybe the 26.
The thing that Florida has done so well, and their offense has a different identity this year. They're not the downfield, vertical pass, explosive offense that they were a year ago. Their scoring is down in conference games. But they're about 70 yards better per game running the football. And on first down, they've been outstanding. They've averaged 7 yards per run on first down this season. That makes it easy to call plays.
Best in the country. Tebow, play action on the sideline, incomplete, intended for Hernandez. Well, they don't have Percy Harvin, and they don't have Lewis Murphy. So that changes the complexion of things they do. This is a guy they like to get it to a lot. They just couldn't this time.
Well, and Aaron Hernandez is very versatile, and they put him in a lot of different spots and get him the football, but he just doesn't have the same skill set that Percy Harvin had.
They got the last third down, or actually the fourth down, I should say, with Tim Tebow running. Here it's third down and 4. Mississippi State brings up a couple extra men. High snap. Tebow, first down, a bunch more. Heading to the corner. Tebow with a stiff arm. Touchdown. What a run. And he's just tied Herschel Walker in the SEC record books.
Well, the best thing that he did on this play was catch the snap. It was a bad snap, a high snap. The fake pitch was intentional, but the high snap was not, and Tebow is able to just stiff arm his way to the goal line.
And look at that power right there, and then just getting inside the pylon on a 26-yard touchdown romp. So for him, his 49th career rushing touchdown, and the extra point is up and good. Tebow tying Herschel and giving his team the touchdown lead, 10-3. Joining this group, Cadillac Williams, Kevin Falk, and just tied Herschel Walker with 49 scores in his career on the ground. Now, my folks and my friends back in Georgia are saying, hey, man, Herschel did it in 3 years. Well, Tebow's a quarterback, too,
yeah,
so
right.
that's kind of a push.
That is a push.
Sensational athlete. Herschel was kind of a Maserati. Tim's kind of an F-150. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That time, though, he did show some speed at 26 yards to the corner with the stiff arm for the touchdown. There's the kick. Leon Berry, this one's shorter. He'll take it at about the 10. And Berry's got a pretty good return out across the 35 to the 36-yard line. Well, talking about the Georgia Bulldogs, let's take a look at tonight's Good Hands Flashback, brought to you by Allstate from November 8, 1980. Dogs trailing the Gators late in the game.
Trouble. Got a block behind him. Gonna throw and a run, complete to the 25, to the 30. Lindsey's got 35, 40. Lindsey's got 45, 50, 45, 40. Run, Lindsey, 25, 20, 50, 10, 5. Lindsey's got, Lindsey's got, Lindsey's got.
And 26-21, Georgia went on to win the national championship. Larry Munson with maybe his best call ever in that one in Jacksonville. And that's where Florida will be next week to take on the Georgia Bulldogs, who had the weekend off. Urban Meyer talking this week about how he was a huge Herschel Walker fan when he was growing up and was a big Georgia Bulldog fan because of Herschel. Anthony Dixon, not really much on that play. Terrence Sanders with the tackle.
Tell you what this guy has done in Florida is really remarkable. 50 wins. Look at that. Tied for the fastest to do it as an SEC coach. His overall record, 89-17, 84% of his games he's won as a head coach. And boy, just doesn't show any signs of slowing down at Florida.
Oh, that's for sure. Ooh. Getting bulldozed. Terrence Sanders on Anthony Dixon. Second play in a row that he's made a big play there defensively. As we check in with Reese.
All right, guys, game going on in the SEC on ESPNU. Vanderbilt and South Carolina right after a Stephen Garcia touchdown pass. The redshirt freshman Warren Norman. And we're going to have to get our stats and information people researching. A lot of kickoff returns for touchdowns this year. Vandy has it tied at 7.
And here in the SEC on ESPN, it's 10-3. Florida leading Mississippi State. Tyson Lee in the shotgun. Has time. Over the middle. And to zip it past the umpire's head and intended it for Brandon McCray, incomplete.
Yeah, got that pass behind him, and Tyson knows that was a bad throw. He had protection, and if he hits McCray on the move, McCray might be able to turn this upfield for a first down. But as it turns out, another 3 and out for the Bulldog offense as this Gator defense starts to dig in their heels a little bit.
So Heath Hutchins into punt again. And I said before, look out for number 25 on the other end. He knows what to do with it when he gets his hands on it as a punt returner. Brandon James. Florida's got everybody up. And again, James will have to call for a fair catch at about the 26-yard line. So Florida's got the lead. Tim Tebow This is what gave his #1 Gators the 10-3 advantage. He'll have the ball when we come back. So Florida with a touchdown lead here in Starkville. Beautiful night for football. And now Tim Tebow and the Gators leading 10-3. On the ground is Demps. K.J. Wright and the rest of the Mississippi State Bulldogs hold him up. This was Tim Tebow last week against Arkansas.
Well, they needed to win the game, and Tim Tebow put the team on his back, as he's done so many times. 14 plays, 69 yards. Tebow running and passing set up the winning field goal by Sturgis. But again, and we've seen this so much from Tim Tebow.
Yeah.
It's not just the measurables, it's what he does for his team.
Penalty markers down. And that stops play here. Ball start.
You know, the new quarterback coach that Tim has is Scott Loeffler. And he was with the Lions last year in the NFL, but he was a long-time assistant at Michigan, coached a lot of big-time quarterbacks at Michigan. You know, worked with Brian Griese, Tom Brady, Drew Henson, Chad Henne. And I asked him before the game, you've coached some good ones. What makes this guy special? And he said, the intangible.
Yeah.
He said, some of those other guys I had throw it better. His intangibles are off the charts. And you see it every week.
Here he is in an empty backfield, middle screen to Hernandez, the tight end. And he's got a first down. And it'll bring it out across the 35 to the 38-yard line with a first down. You know, talking about Tim Tebow and watching that drive last week, and we talked to Steve Addazio, the offensive coordinator. I said, you know, you've seen him so often. Did he just get that look in his eye again? And it's like he wills his team to win.
Absolutely.
And he's just a competitor like we've never seen before.
I've never seen anybody like it. And he can put a team on his back and will them to victory. And he wants the ball in his hands every play.
This time he zips it to Cooper, and he's got another first down in Mississippi State territory now at the 41-yard line.
You know, the funny thing that Steve Addazio told us is the balancing act that he has to go through with this team is he's got Tebow yelling at him, ride this horse, meaning I want the ball, let me run the ball, and he's got to balance that and his desire to give him the ball and to try to preserve him, too, for the whole season.
First down, he rides it and pitches it to Moody. James, rather. And Brandon James has got it to the 35-yard line.
Maurice Langston with the tackle.
I think the one thing this offense is looking for is another wideout, and that guy right there, number 6, Deontay Thompson, is the guy I think they're hoping will be that guy. He had a 77-yard touchdown reception last week against Arkansas, and he's got the speed and the big playability to go opposite Riley Cooper and give him another threat down the field.
He comes way out here to the left side with a second down and 3. Just outside the 35. Inside handoff, and it's a first down for Moody. Emmanuel Moody at the 26. So Florida's got it working again with 9.5 minutes to go in the half and leading by a touchdown.
You've got Demps, who averages 8.4 yards a carry. You've got Rainey, who averages 6.8. And you got Moody, the best of all three, coming into the game tonight, averaging almost 9 yards a carry. It is a running football team with an offensive line that is physical and athletic and built to knock people off the ball.
Chris Rainey in there with Tebow now. He'll get the carry. And Rainey broke through a little crease. Almost took it to the end zone. Boy, there was just a sliver of light there, and he was through it in the blink of an eye.
Well, watch the pull here. Watch the center, Marquise Pouncey. 56 is going to get out here and lead this play. I just talked about the athleticism of this line. That's a center. Snaps it, gets out in front of the play, and leads Rainey towards the goal line.
Now it's first and goal at the 6. Florida trying to take command of this game here. The midway point of the second quarter. Demps back in there. Tebow wants to throw. They'll get to him. And he goes down at about the 7.
That was well defended. Again, they run, and then he does a great job of selling that run and then stepping back to throw, and Mississippi State was not fooled. They had coverage downfield, and they were able to contain Tebow on the scramble.
Bush, twice his team has come up with a stand here in the red zone to force field goal attempts. Trying to do it again. 2nd and goal. Tebow fakes the pitch, brings it back the other way. Heading to the corner. He's not going to get there. Knocked out of bounds at about the 4. Good pursuit by Broomfield and Banks to knock him out of bounds.
Yeah, kind of the same play he scored on in the first quarter. Watch him fake the toss, try to get that defense running, and then he's going to cut it back to the other side. But they did a nice job. 2 plays in a row of containing Tim Tebow on the run.
Third and goal for Florida. Percentage of the offense for number 15, 61%. Let's see if he'll carry it again. Empty backfield. Cooper comes in motion. Tebow looking to the end zone. Has Cooper in front of him, and he's going to throw it away.
Yep, that's good defense.
Yes,
3 plays in a row in the red zone. 2 passes and a run. Excellent job of defense by Mississippi State. Irvin knows he's got to kick it. I mean, you know, he said
he's biting his lip over there.
He's not happy, but he knows that they got him.
So again, they do force the field goal attempt. Sturgis has hit one and missed one tonight. This will be from 21 yards on the left hash. And it's up and good. Another 21-yard field goal. Tacks on to the lead. But Tim Tebow kept out of the end zone. 13-3 Gators. The SEC on ESPN from Starkville, Mississippi. Davis Wade Stadium at Scott Field, where Florida leads the Bulldogs 13-3. And before the kick, we've got time for tonight's trivia question. We've been talking about rushing touchdowns. Who holds the FBS career record for rushing touchdowns? Talked about Herschel, Tim Tebow.
Yeah.
Are they the guys, or is there somebody else? Think it over. So again, Mississippi State's defense forced the field goal that ended a 69-yard drive in 10 plays, 4.5 minutes, and Sturgis hit from 21 yards.
It's an important drive for the Bulldog offense, though. They've got to let their defense rest a little bit. Back-to-back 3 and outs.
Here's a kick. It'll chase Leon Berry to the 1-yard line. Berry got a block. Out across the 40 to the 42. A 41-yard kickoff return. Good field position for the Bulldogs after we check in with Reese Davis.
Brad, Sports Center right now, a thriller in Tuscaloosa. Big Terrence Cody blocked a couple of field goals in the second half for Alabama, and the Tide escape 12-10 against one of their rivals. See Cody celebrating. Lane Kiffin's team put up a great fight. Texas, they always win the week after they play Oklahoma. Colt McCoy, Jordan Shipley, up 7-0 on Mizzou. That's on ABC. Sports Center after the game. Stay current with news.
All right, Reese here off play action. The pass incomplete. Intended for Christian Dupree, and they haven't been able to establish Anthony Dixon at all either, Todd.
Well, and what this game feels like is this defense of Florida is starting to settle in, and they're making it more and more difficult. Mississippi State has to be good on first down to have a chance.
Dixon's only got 14 yards on 6 carries. Now he's got 15 yards on 7 carries. Ryan Stamper is there. Terrence Sanders, who's had a big game on that defensive line that, as Aaron was talking about, has been banged up. Yeah. He's playing really well in this first half.
Well, and he's been one of the most consistent guys that they've had in there. I mean, and he's had to play more, less rotations because of the injuries of some guys behind him. And right now, they got Duke Lemons in the middle here in their joker package. Right here, he's really a defensive end, but because of the shortage of bodies, they've got to put him in as an inside rusher.
Tyson Lee, it's a big play here. They're going to bring the heat. Lee in trouble, and he's not going to get out of it. Penalty markers down. Dunlap is the guy that's got the sack. but it could have been just about anybody.
Up with the tackle, flags on the play.
Dunlap, who already had a tipped pass tonight that led to an interception, and now he's got the sack and a chop block to boot, it appears.
Well, again, the problem for Tyson Lee is he just has trouble seeing over big bodies. I mean, that was some pressure. The protection was good enough. I just don't think he could see downfield to where he wanted to throw the football.
Number 70. The penalty is declined.
So they decline the penalty, forcing the punt.
3 consecutive 3-and-outs now forced by this Gator defense. So much attention paid to them coming back, returning all 11 starters, and they are the real deal, even without Spikes tonight.
And that's just put too much pressure on that Mississippi State defense that's holding its own. Hutchins gets the kick away. James going to have to let this one bounce. And it will actually take a Florida roll back to about the 24-yard line. Tim Tebow still got plenty of time to work with all his timeouts. Just under 6 minutes remaining till halftime.
24-yard line. Tebow in the gun, shotgun snap, play action. Drops back, looks to throw, fires deep for the end zone. Wide open in quarantine, and Riley Cooper, touchdown! Oh my! Riley Cooper in the right corner, and the Gators take the lead.
And another big win. Vic Huber with a call. Tim Tebow has done so many times over his 4-year career.
That was the first night game that LSU has lost at home in about 32 straight games.
Yep. Moody. Nice bounce to the outside, and Moody almost got a first down run out of it. Mississippi State trying defensively to slow down Florida, but their offense is not helping them.
And with the running game, I mean, it's just, you just keep getting punched in the mouth and punched in the mouth, and that wears on you. And when you don't get much rest on the sideline, it really starts to show up.
Tonight, 167 yards already, like 26 of those by the Florida quarterback. Second down and short. And they got the first down. Rainey takes it. Rainey, when we were talking with Steve Adazio, talking about the difference between Demps, he said, you know, he's got speed like you just have never seen. Chris Rainey's probably the most elusive, and then Emmanuel Moody, powerful, and has got the best change of direction of the three. Nice combination.
Yeah, and then the sledgehammer with the quarterback when he runs it. You know?
Exactly. Demps back in there now, a first down. Just under 5 minutes remaining. In the half, Florida by 10. Play action, Tebow. Directing traffic and running out of time.
He's got to throw that ball away.
Yeah.
That's what Urban Meyer was upset with him in the Arkansas game. He said, you know, we held the ball too long. They had too many sacks, and that sack is on the quarterback, not the offensive line. If you don't like it, if you don't got it, either run it or throw it away. But don't take a loss of yardage play just because you feel like you have to throw the ball down the field.
He's dancing around back there for 7 or 8 seconds. That brings up second down and long. 2nd and 12. They don't put themselves in long yardage situations very often. Now Tebow on the option with a pitch to Demps. Whoa, man, what a collision with Charles Mitchell. Hello. Demps bounces right back up.
And Charles Mitchell is kind of the veteran. Let's listen to this one.
Wow. Well, you want to be a tailback. Oh, great. Moody back in there. It's 3rd down and long. 3rd and 9. Tebow scans the field, shovels it ahead, completes it to Moody, and he didn't quite get there. It doesn't appear anyway. Looks to be a couple feet shy. Well, nice improvisation by Tim Tebow. They have a lot of those shovel passes in their arsenal, but this one was kind of a long shovel.
I wouldn't be surprised if they might look for a fake punt here. Although if Mississippi State is smart, which I'm sure they'll be prepared for it, and go safe punt here. 4th and very short.
Henry set up at the 35-yard line. We'll kick it. Chad Bumpus is going to field it at the 9. Dangerous. Goes down right in his tracks. Nice punt coverage by Joe Hayden and company for Florida. But Mississippi State has the ball back with 2:36 remaining in the half. And a little bit earlier, we asked you tonight's trivia question. It was, who holds the FBS Football Bowl Subdivision career record for rushing touchdowns? Travis Prentice, Miami, 73 touchdowns on the ground. That's a bunch. And tonight, you missed it, Tim Tebow tied Herschel Walker's SEC mark with his 49th career rushing touchdown for the top spot in the SEC record book. And we still got a whole half to go, so that might even be broken before the night's over. And just nothing doing for the ground game of Mississippi State right now. That was Dupree. Jermaine Cunningham made the stop.
Well, this depleted defensive line of Charlie Strong, that's the defensive coordinator, they are starting to control the line of scrimmage. And when you stuff them on first down, then the advantage, any advantage there is, swings to the defense completely. 2nd and 10, probably a 3rd and long. That's all advantage defense.
Tyson Lee trying to get something going here in the shotgun for the Bulldogs. 3 wide receivers, all to the right side, but they'll keep it on the ground. And this is Dixon trying to find room, and Anthony just can't. Maybe got out to the 14. That's about it. Well, the chase hitting the halfway point. Mark Martin and Jeff Gordon looking to close the gap on Jimmy Johnson. NASCAR's best head to the shortest track on the circuit in Martinsville tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern on ABC. Presented by Goodyear. Jimmy Johnson in the lead. Martin, Gordon, Stewart, and Busch in the top 5. Right now, Mississippi State could use a NASCAR to hand it to just to get something going offensively. 3rd down and 5. And utilizing the entire clock before they snap it here. Lee again rolling left and throwing incomplete. Intended for Bumpus. And Ahmad Black was back there. And the natives here getting a little bit restless about the Mississippi State offense.
Well, this is a Florida defense that is one of the best, if not the best, defense in the country. Again, all starters returning. This is Dixon and Cunningham going at it away from the play at the end of the play. But it's a unit that I think felt bad last week. You know, they gave 133 yards rushing to Arkansas. They gave up a few big plays in the passing game to Ryan Mallett. Playing with a purpose tonight.
Now they don't want anything to happen right here with just a minute left in the half.
That's for sure. And they got it. There's a block punt.
Florida blocks the kick, and they've got it at the 6-yard line. That's the last thing you wanted to have happen with 65 seconds to go in the quarter.
They were closer on the last one. I mean, each punt they've gotten closer and closer. And I mentioned in the beginning, they only have 1 block kick this year. That was a big part of their success last year. And Rainey, untouched off the edge, using that speed to get to the football.
So now Florida's got a chance to just take command with a minute left in the half as they're at the 6-yard line. Rainey playing the starters on special teams with the block kick, and now Tebow and company have got all their timeouts and 59 seconds to work with. That is a killer for the Bulldogs, unless they can come up with a stop. So far, they do. Dix only got about a yard. Mississippi State saying the ball came out. Kyle Love on the bottom of the pile with the tackle. They're trying to get the band to back up, I think, a little bit.
Yeah. The band needs to get back, coach. Good stop on the play. The knees are down.
Dan Mullen can control a lot of things as a first-year head coach, but he really doesn't have anything to do with the band, I don't think. Well, maybe he does. Florida takes a timeout. Mississippi State trying to somehow come up with another stop to prevent a Florida touchdown.
Introducing Wing Street Wings from Pizza Hut. Now you can have a
All right, Reese, we'll see you for the Wendy's halftime report in about 52 seconds. Jeffrey Demps on that last carry. They're taking a look at it in the booth upstairs as the ball actually did come out, but his knee was down before the Leafs football. So Florida comes up to the line for a 2nd and goal at the 6-yard line. Again, red zone troubles the past few weeks. Will they only get a field goal here? That's what Mississippi State's hoping for. Tebow's in trouble. Down he goes. Fletcher Cox is there with company from Pernell McPhee. Florida takes another timeout. Down to 1.
30 seconds. Timeout.
They've been down in the red zone before with 3rd and goal. And here's their 3rd down plays.
Well, that was when the penetration, again, the ball on the 1-yard line, snapped it off the 1, and then Tebow with nowhere to go with the football, ends up having to throw it away the next time they were down here on 3rd down.
So on 3rd and 4th downs, they have been having to really work for it. 1 for 3 passing for Tebow, 4 rushes for 28 yards, 2 first downs. So this is a huge 3rd down right here. Not sure I'm arguing with that young man with that sign.
Yeah. Little extra coaching in there at the end of that huddle by Urban Meyer, talking to David Nelson, who is this receiver right here in the slot.
Hernandez on the left side as Tebow's hurried, throws, tipped, intercepted in the end zone. Coming back the other way, Jonathan Banks. Banks, look out! 100-yard touchdown.
Well, we've seen Tim Tebow hold on to the ball too long instead of throw it away. That time he thought about throwing it away and tried to make a play and got burnt.
You talk about a dramatic turn of events. Steve Pasquale in for the point after it. Instead of Florida 20-3, it's Florida 13-10.
Well, it started out with good coverage again by Mississippi State. And Tim Tebow was not able to throw this ball on rhythm. Watch as he goes back. He's not able to just set up and throw. Good coverage. He has to throw back it up, and Broomfield gets his hands on the ball, and then the safety, Banks, picks it off. But Tim Tebow probably should have thrown this one away. He just tried to get a little greedy. And the freshman, Jonathan Banks, with his big play. Wow.
You think he'll remember this one forever? The freshman out of Maiden, Mississippi, coast to coast touchdown. And then it's somebody catching, and nobody did.
Wow. Wow, what a turnaround. I mean, they're in the position to just get blasted here right at the end of the half. The block punt, the chances of coming back from 20-3 against this defense, bleak at best.
The explanation's over. The party's just starting. Mississippi State has taken a timeout. I'm not sure this isn't a bad idea. Just let the crowd continue to rock this stadium. And with that, with 27 seconds left in the half, you're talking about a young man who played quarterback in high school. He was an all-state linebacker in high school, starting in the secondary in the SEC, and he just picks off maybe the best player in the country and goes all the way.
Well, and he was in the right place at the right time. And credit the pressure. They got to Tebow and forced him to throw off his back foot. And again, you know, even as great as Tebow is, he is so competitive, and he wants to play well in this game and beat his former coach, Dan Mullen. He made a bad decision throwing that ball just up for grabs.
He doesn't want to give up on a play, and sometimes you have to. Take the three, go to the locker room in command. Instead, you've got about 56,000 going crazy in here. And Bully is saying, bully to Banks. I like it.
I thought it was funny. Dan Mullen told us about Jonathan Banks. He, you know, because he was committed. They weren't sure if they were going to still get him when the new staff came in. And he said, a couple of coaches said, you don't have to worry about any coaches stealing him from you because his school's so small, nobody's going to find him. You can't find it on a GPS.
He used to ride a horse to school. There was 23 in his graduating class. Now he's got 55,000 new friends tonight. Rick Burgess takes the kick. Let's take one more look.
Man. What a turnaround. Pressure.
And once he cut back right here, the Banks were open. Even on a Saturday night. That might be one of the biggest defensive plays we've seen all year long.
Well, could not have come at a more opportune time. But 23 seconds remaining. But look at what Florida. They're going to take a knee here to end the half. This is going to make this crowd go crazy.
Illegal substitution on Florida.
Right now, Urban Meyer's saying, you know what? The best thing for us is let's get to the locker room and regroup. Mississippi State, on the other hand, wishes they could just roll right into the third quarter right now.
Well, the wheels aren't falling off for the #1 team in the country, but the lug nuts are a little bit loose right now at halftime. And now we got a skirmish going on before they ever get to the locker room. Everybody trying to separate these two teams, including the head coach who's right in the thick of it, trying to get his Bulldogs to the locker room. Halftime, #1 Florida 13, unranked Mississippi State 10. Well, they finally got them pretty much separated as we go down to Eric.
Coach, you told us yesterday you wanted your players to control their emotions, but I got to know, what was your reaction when you saw that true freshman with his pick six there?
I'll tell you, it was an unbelievable play. Our defense playing their hearts out down there in the red zone right now, holding them, and we're bending, not breaking. That's a huge play, gives us a lot of momentum going into halftime.
But what do you have to do to get your offense going in the second half?
They're doing a great job stopping us. We got to get that run game fixed. Get a couple things. They're confusing our guys up front a little bit. We'll get that fixed at halftime.
All right, thanks, Sam.
All right, so Dan Mullen against his old boss, Urban Meyer, and he is right in the thick of it in front of a record crowd. Halftime, Florida 13, Mississippi State 10. Time to send you now to the Wendy's halftime report. Reese Davis and the guys. Fellas, it's all yours. You talk about a sonic boom. Our college football primetime presented by Hampton Hotels. That's what it felt like in the last 27 seconds of the second quarter as Jonathan Banks took it coast to coast on an interception return for a touchdown, and that's why we've got a 3-point game. Tim Tebow gathering his offensive line around him. They know they've got their work cut out for them now as we take a look at tonight's first half stats brought to you by Chase Sapphire. And that total yardage and rushing yardage thing, Todd, that's got to change or Mississippi State can't stay in this game.
Yeah, they've got to make some more things happen. They've got to let their defense rest because their defense played outstanding. And part of the problem, they only ran 24 plays, so they didn't have the ball very much, and they couldn't convert a third down. They were 0 for 5 on third down.
We expected to see both quarterbacks for Mississippi State. Do you anticipate maybe a change?
I think we might see Chris Relf, their backup, but see, he's not a passing option. He's a guy they want to bring in and run the football some.
The kick is very short and taken at the 14-yard line. James trying to dance his way through the traffic, and he got out to maybe the 31 as we check in with Aaron.
Well, Brad, heading into halftime, we saw both teams kind of meet up on the field, some pushing, some shoving, some jawing. Coming out of halftime, I was going to ask head coach Urban Meyer about the chippiness. Well, I didn't have to. The team came out with about 7 minutes left on the clock. That usually doesn't happen, Brad. They usually come out about 5 to 4 minutes, and tried to get a few questions into Coach Meyer, and he wasn't having any of it. He's dialed in. Todd talked about Tim Tebow at the beginning of the game. Well, Todd, that was Urban here at halftime. Also, guys, they talked to the officials. They talked to both coaches and teams and said, let's keep it clean the rest of the way.
Let's see how we go as we start the third quarter. Thanks, Aaron. And it's Rainey who's got it out maybe to the 35-yard line.
You know, and what I saw in that first half, we talked about the problems offensively for Mississippi State, but the problems for Florida that have been all season long and why some people have had some concern that follow Florida is three things. Number one, they haven't had the big explosive plays, pass plays down the field to get big chunks of yardage. Number two, in the red zone, they had to settle for field goals in that first half, and the turnovers. They're -2 for the season. Very uncharacteristic for an Urban Meyer team, and the one turnover they had today ended up costing them points as well.
7, in fact, courtesy of that young man. Here's Rainey trying to take it. Oops, going to turn around, try to come back the other way. And finally, the Mississippi State defense is there for a loss on the play again. Third down has not been good to the Gators tonight, and they've got another one right here.
Well, Mississippi State's 0 for 5. Florida only 1 for 7 on third down. And when they got in the goal line area, it was even more difficult. A stuff, a throwaway, and then even worse, an interception that was returned for a touchdown. 1 for 7 on third downs tonight for Florida.
This place will go wild if they stop them here. And they do. So to open the third quarter, it's punting time for Florida. These fans have gotten their money's worth. It was a great scene outside Davis-Wade Stadium today on our way in with the tailgating and everything. And there's still 2 quarters left, but they are enjoying what they're seeing right now, especially from the defense. Chaz Henry to punt. Leon Berry is back on the other end. Nice kick. High spiral. Berry will take a fair catch right at the 20-yard line. Coming up on Monday nights, Donovan McNabb of the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Washington Redskins, who've got some problems. Can they get them straightened out on Monday night at 8:30 Eastern Time? Coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown, served by Applebee's at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Anthony Dixon, he was a guy that we expected to have a big impact on the game, and they just have not been able to get him going.
Well, Dan Mullen talked about some confusion for the offensive line in that first half. I thought Dixon was dancing a little bit too. You know, there weren't any big holes for him to look through and run through, and he kind of danced around, and tough to do against this defense.
The guy that's helping off the field, Wandy Pierre-Louis, is coming off and limping with some help from the Traders on the Florida side. Line of scrimmage at the 21-yard line now. And let's see if the offense of Mississippi State can get anything going against the defense minus Brandon Spikes, who you can see is just itching to get involved in the action over there, but he has not played tonight. Tyson Lee in the gun with Dixon and Dupree.
First down has just been nothing for Mississippi State since very, very early in the ballgame. They've got to be more productive on first down.
And they are. And it's Dupree still on his feet.
to the 25. And this is Dan Mullen all the way anticipating one thing Florida loves to do, which is bring the corner blitz to the short side of the field. Watch this play. Here's Hayden on the blitz. So they throw the ball right into the area that was voided by Hayden, and Dustin Doe, the linebacker, not quick enough to get the coverage. The nice block down the field by Brandon McCray, but it was the anticipation of the blitz, and they made him pay for it.
First down at the 25. Lee's going to throw out the flat to Dixon. He puts the brakes on, cuts inside the 20, down to the 19-yard line. Stanford with the tackle. The Mississippi State offense has awakened here in the early stage of the third quarter. If the Bulldogs score on this drive, even a field goal to tie it, the momentum is going to stay with them. 2nd and 4. Dixon behind Dupree. This time he doesn't dance.
Yep. He hit it up in there good that time.
Yep.
And with a fast defense, you can't dance. I mean, you have got to hit that thing full speed and get what you can get.
Charlie Strong, now his defense trying to come up with a stop. We've been talking all night about Mississippi State doing that under Carl Torbush. And now Charlie Strong's group has got to get a little more stout here. Mississippi State at the 14-yard line.
Here we are on first down again, though. Remember the last first down play, big play. Have to be productive on first down where there's a run-pass threat either way.
Tyson Lee, one of the captains of the offense. The quarterback rolling to throw. Completes it. Short gain. But it is complete to Marcus Green.
They're trying to get the last look. You see the play clock is going all the way down. They're checking to the sideline. They're trying to get that last look at the Florida defense and change the play at that point. Haven't seen a lot of quick counts by this Mississippi State offense.
2nd down and 8 at the Gator 12. Lee gives it off to Dixon down to the 9, almost the 8. Carlos Dunlap holding on. Number 24 trying to get the wheels turning in that ground game of the Bulldogs.
Now they're lining up quick. They might try to go quick here and go fast tempo, but they're switching personnel.
3 wideouts down to the left side. Oops. Quentin Salisbury took off early. So much for the quick count.
Yeah.
55 on offense, penalty 5 yards, and remains score.
Ledge, that's the first penalty against Mississippi State.
Well, and it's a costly one. They've got momentum. They're down in the red zone. They had 3rd and 5. And now against this devastating Florida defense, particularly on 3rd down, it's 3rd and 10. Opponents this year, when it's been 3rd and 7 plus, they've only converted 10% on 3rd down against Florida.
Bumpus is the guy on the slot on the left side. Lee is going to draw play it, though, to Dixon. Well, they'll get nothing out of this, but they will get a field goal attempt to try to tie the football game.
That penalty was so costly.
Yep.
I mean, Dan Mullen had to be smart there and conservative. Kick the field goal. Don't let anything bad happen to your football team. But 3rd and 10 is just a whole lot tougher against this team than 3rd and 5.
Derek Pasquale will come in to try the field goal. He made a 43-yarder earlier. This one will be from 31 yards out. They'll try to tie things up with the #1 team in the country. Pasquale from 31. And he's got it. Tie game. The big play was Lee to Dupree. The final 3 was Pasquale. We are tied up in Starkville. Brandon Spikes, the leader of that Florida defense, who's been unable to play because of a groin injury suffered in the Arkansas game. He just keeps pacing that sideline. And you know he'd like to put that helmet on and get out there and help the cause. Meanwhile, a 65-yard drive and 7 plays by Mississippi State, nets them a field goal, and we are tied in Starkville, 13 apiece. New basketball to kick. At the 9-yard line, Brandon James. James cuts outside, got a nice block across the 40, and he's out to the 42-yard line. So again, a good return. Now the Lowe's Senior Class Award signifies a student athlete's excellence in the classroom and on the field, as well as their service to communities. Here's a look at this year's finalists. Unfortunately, Eric Decker, Minnesota, got hurt today, injured his left ankle. You can log on to seniorclassaward.com to learn more. You see Tim Tebow of Florida there, as well as Colt McCoy. You can text the word football to 74567 to cast your vote.
Yeah, I think Florida, even though the game is tied, they're not behind, it's not desperate times. I think they need to try to throw the ball down the field and challenge this young Mississippi State secondary a little bit. At least make a play on the ball.
Tebow does throw it complete on a slant, and Riley Cooper makes a nice catch and a pickup of 12.
You got two corners for Mississippi State that one's a freshman and one's a junior college transfer that just both made their first starts a week ago. This is the freshman Broomfield that Riley Cooper's working on. You got a freshman free safety and Jonathan Banks, who made the interception and returned it for a touchdown, but they're still freshmen.
Now it's Tebow on the keeper, and Tim got 2 or 3 before Fletcher Cox made the stop defensively.
And we talked about Dan Mullen talking to his team about focusing, locking in every play. Do your job every play. That's the thing they've got to stay with it. It's great to be 13-13 in the third, but you got to focus every play.
2nd down and 8. At the Bulldog 43. Cup. Tebow, quarterback draw all the way. And he's down inside the 40 to the 38. Let's check in with Aaron.
Brad, when we talked to Dan Mullen yesterday, he said, you know, going up against this Florida staff, that's professional, but going up against his former quarterback, that's personal. And I know in talking to Tim yesterday, he feels the same exact way. You guys heard the stories about how competitive they are, everything from sports trivia. Yes, we heard midnight Marco Polo matches as well. Tim wants to beat Mullen, and Mullen wants to beat Tim, and this is just another showdown in their competitive relationship.
They've been texting back and forth this week. Now they're on opposite sidelines. And here's Tebow again. And a 1st down run again. And this is looking more and more like that last drive against Arkansas last week. So tough to bring down. He's got a nice knack for making a guy miss and then run over the 2nd and 3rd guy. So they move the sticks, and it's 1st and 10 Florida at the 33-yard line. We're under 7.5 minutes, 3rd quarter. Brad Nessler, Todd Blackledge, Aaron Andrews, and our ESPN crew. Saturday night prime time, and it's a 13-13 tie. Tebow throws complete, and it's Hernandez who broke a tackle, lost the football, but it's out of bounds, and he's going to have a 1st down.
That's the first time they've thrown him the football down the field. They gave it to him on a shovel pass in the first half. The first time they get him out against the defense, working against the linebacker, K.J. Wright. And he's been their leading receiver this season. That's his 29th catch of the year.
Nice tiptoe job to stay in bounds and pick about 6 extra yards up to get the 1st down. Here they are in the red zone again. Sledge at the 18-yard line. Tebow. He's going to throw this one away wisely.
Good decision. You know, it's not there. Mississippi State, you know, they've given up some yards and some plays. They were outgained by almost 200 yards in that first half. But when it got into the red zone, they really played good defense.
Sometimes Tim Tebow comes up there in the shotgun, will move forward and then back up. I had a friend of mine, Ryan Kelly, said to me this week, is Tim Tebow the only guy in the world that can play action to himself? Good point.
That's right.
This time, straight handoff. Flags are down as Moody spins his way down to the 11-yard line. Again, penalty marker on the play. Florida saying it's against Mississippi State, and they are correct. Offside on the Bulldogs.
It looked like they lined up offsides and nobody jumped.
Offside, 94 on the defense. 5-yard penalty. Down remains second.
Fletcher Cox, the freshman defensive tackle. And that's Corey Broomfield, who's down on the sideline.
He was the guy who got the deflection on the interception by Banks.
There's the fake pitch. And straight ahead comes Tebow down to the 8, about a yard shy of the first down. It'll bring up 3rd down and 1. 6:20 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Florida just grinding this drive out. They got a good kick return from Brandon James. Got him out over the 40-yard line. And mostly it's been Tebow on the ground. The pass to Hernandez. A nice slant that Riley Cooper made an excellent catch on. Now they find themselves 3rd down and short. And Florida's going to take a timeout here. There's 6:02 remaining in the 3rd quarter. A big Gator 3rd down when we return.
This is Maggie.
Found him in some lady's flower bed. He was probably watering the flowers. He spent a night in a hoosegow. Here's Tebow.
Wow, unbelievable.
He's all hemmed in for a loss.
Well, first of all, you know this is all they're going to run here because there's not even a running back in the formation. There's all blockers and Tebow. And again, the shotgun snap, if you get penetration, you stop him in the backfield. That was the Jamar Chaney comes in there and gets the penetration in the backfield, and they stop Tim Tebow again on 3rd down in the red zone.
Sturgis 2 out of 3 tonight. 27-yard kick here. And he puts Florida back in front. So the field goal good. But again, Tim Tebow and the Gators offense denied the end zone. Florida 16, Mississippi State 13.
Everybody in this state that's behind you, you take all that energy, that giant love, you focus it into every single play of this game. You're going to make a memory tonight that's going to be with you for the rest of your life, but never taken away from you. The memory tonight will never be taken away from you. You have that with you for the rest of your life.
The crowd, by the way, by almost 1,000, the biggest ever. 57,178 at Davis Wade Stadium at Scott Field in Starkville. And they have had a time tonight. And you keep getting the feeling if their team ever gets ahead, this place is going to explode. And Florida might be in for some trouble if that ever happens. Florida continues to maintain the 3-point lead. From the 12, Leon Berry. Into the wall of Gators at about the 28-yard line. Well, the chase is at the halfway point. Taking it to the shortest track on the circuit. Sprint Cup continues in Martinsville tomorrow. Coverage begins on ABC at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. Presented by Goodyear. Jimmy Johnson in front. Mark Martin, Jeff Gordon trying to close the gap. And Mississippi State is going to the quarterback we mentioned.
Well, you know, they're in a position now where they don't have to play catch-up too much. I mean, they're down 3, but there's a lot of time on this. Chris Ralph is a great athlete, a running threat from the quarterback position.
And here he goes on his first carry. A good gain. Ryan Stamper stops him, but he picks up about 5. A playmaker is what the coaches call him.
He actually did not play the last 2 games, serving a 2-game suspension. But they told us he would be in the game tonight. He does have the ability to make some plays, particularly as a runner.
Here's Bumpus in motion. And here is Ralph making a big play. Chris Ralph all the way down to the 39-yard line. Just like that, the change at that spot. And Mississippi State's in business offensively.
Boy, great block by Quentin Salisbury. Watch number 55 get out there, get the middle linebacker knocked outside, and Ralph does a nice job of cutting in behind that block and taking it to the other side of the formation. Protecting the football, switching it to his outside arm.
24-yard pickup for Ralph to the 39-yard line. And he'll keep it again After the play action on the sweep.
The reason this is a good changeup for Dan Mullen is because when the quarterback runs, and Florida knows this, it gives you one more blocker that you can't account for. So you either have to bring another defender into the box area to tackle the quarterback, or you got to just hope that they don't execute. And right now, Chris Ralph giving him a little spark running the football.
Much the same size as Tim Tebow. 6'3", 235-pound sophomore out of Montgomery, Alabama. Here he comes again. Just a straight run all the way. This time the Gators are waiting for him. Carlos Dunlap is there, as is A.J. Jones.
Now here's the question. On third down, will Dan Mullen keep Ralph in?
Or bring Tyson Lee back in.
Or bring Tyson Lee, his throwing quarterback, in. Now you can't, after this series, you can't just only run the quarterback. If they keep Ralph in, he's going to have to throw it at some point. And he can throw it. He's just more accomplished at this point in his development as a runner than he is a thrower.
He's 15 of 26 throwing for 213 yards on the year. If he throws here. 3rd and 3. He wants to. He won't.
Yeah. See, he's just not ready for that part of it. I mean, he's got to know, I got to get rid of that ball. I mean, we've got things moving. We've got momentum. We're in their territory. Can't take that negative play like that.
So the guys that made the previous play when he ran, Jones and Dunlap, are the two guys that combine on the sack. And it's 4th down and 12. Remember, there's been a block punt tonight. This is one where Hutchins wants to knock it down inside the 10 somewhere. Shows where he's aiming. Hangs it up. Fair catch at the 6. Good punt. Brandon James has to call a fair catch, so it's Florida in a little bit of a hole at their own 6-yard line, but they've got the lead, 16-13. That Florida offense huddled around their offensive coordinator and the head coach up there in the top box of the 3.
Now, you mentioned it. Dan Mullen was with Urban Meyer first at Notre Dame, and then at Bowling Green, and later at Utah, and then at Florida until this year. A lot of familiarity, and then the relationship between Mullen and Tebow very, very close, and still remains very close.
He said, when the game's over, I'll go over and give Tim a hug, whether we win or lose, but I'd like to go over there with a win under my belt. That was Coach Mullen. We check in with Aaron.
Brad, an update from Florida's sideline. Their offense now seeing some injuries, so we see a little chippiness on the field. Word from the sidelines, Jeff Demps is getting his neck x-rayed. He has a neck sprain, and remember, that's who Dan Mullen said they were very worried about his speed. Also, Brandon James, his right ankle, every time he comes over to the sideline, sits on the bench, he puts it up. That's bugging him a little bit as well.
So they've got problems on both sides of the football with injuries. They got 2nd down and 5 here. Chris Rainey in there with Tim Tebow in the shotgun for Florida. And he'll get the carry. Rainey, he's got great speed too. All the way out to the 32-yard line, just like that. And that quiets the crowd big time and gives Florida some room to work.
Nice block by number 74, Maurice Hurt. Watch him pull out here, get a nice block on Chaney, their leading tackler, and that opens up the crease inside. And again, you talk about that focus, locking in every play. Do your job every play. Mississippi State cannot take any plays off against this Florida offense.
You look into the eyes of Chris White, the linebacker. Now it's Tebow, flushed again. He throws it short to Hernandez, and they drop him after a gain of only a yard. Let's check in with Reese Davis.
Guys, you have some drama in Starkville. The drama has been drained out in Provo. TCU is opening up a Horned Frog-sized can of whooping on BYU's backside. That is Andy Dalton, Antoine Hicks, 75 yards, and beat him 32-7 in Fort Worth last year, beating him 31-7 in Provo tonight. And Texas looks like a #1 team in the nation. They are thrashing Missouri at halftime.
And didn't you know that Colt McCoy was going to have one of those breakout games? Here's Tim Tebow, who's won a Heisman. Sam Bradford won it last year. Colt was 2nd. Now Colt McCoy having Heisman-type numbers tonight in the first half against Missouri. Tim's not having a bad game. He's got 77 yards rushing tonight. And there's his passing numbers.
That was one of the first throws he's been able to make tonight, where he drops back, throws it right on rhythm, on timing to Cooper.
That number 1 way over on the right of that passing column, though, is the killer. As Tebow tried to force one in the corner with 27 seconds left in the second quarter, and it went 100 yards for Jonathan Banks on an interception return for a touchdown. Into the thick of the pile goes Moody. And Chris White, who we just looked into his eyes with that linebacker face mask, brings down Moody. Crowd is hoping for more of the same. I don't think you want to stray too far from Starkville, everybody. Into 3. Number 1's in a little bit of trouble, but they've got a 3-point lead. Be an upset here. Florida clinging to a 3-point lead. Been a long time for Mississippi State. 17 consecutive losses to top 10 teams. The last time 9 years ago against then third-ranked Florida. The last time they beat a number 1 team, Todd was still playing ball for Joe. In 1980, they beat Alabama. 15 to play. Tebow pulls it down and runs it out near midfield.
There's that same read. They run the bubble screen to the lone back. And if Tebow doesn't like that, he can take off on the quarterback draw. It's just kind of built in, those 2 plays together.
Third down 4.
Another 5-yard gain, so Tebow over 80 yards rushing. And here's a third down again, 3rd and 4.
Best in the SEC coming in tonight. 51% conversion on third down. It hasn't been so easy against Mississippi State tonight.
Tebow rolling to throw. He's going to be in trouble again. And he doesn't get rid of it. Finally, he does. And he's got his man, Hernandez, but it's incomplete.
Wow, almost an unbelievable play by Tim Tebow. They had him contained. It looked like they had him right where they wanted him, hemmed in, and either thrown away or he was going to get sacked. And he somehow eludes both Fletcher Cox and Pernell McPhee, and then makes a beautiful throw on the run to Hernandez.
And he thought he had it as you saw him jump, but the nice hit at the end by Charles Mitchell knocked the ball loose. Henry's got to punt it. Oh, they got close to Henry.
Wow, did they ever.
And it goes all the way down inside the 10-yard line. Where are they going to mark it? At the 7 is where it sailed out of bounds. So it's a good punt, but it was very close. They almost got to that kick by Bowser, who laid out. It came ever so close. And now it's Mississippi State, and they'll bring out Tyson Lee at quarterback. So they go back to the starter, the captain of the offense. Any kind of run by number 24 would sure help the cause. Yep. He just can't get him freed up. That Florida defense is so good. Bulldogs at their own 7-yard line. Dixon on a little counter. This time he does find some room. Best run of the night for Anthony Dixon. Little jab step to the right, and then they cut it back the other way, and that's his best run. Now they come with the other quarterback. Chris Ralph hurries back out there, immediately drops his mouthpiece, picks it up, and he's ready to go.
Yeah, a little grass in between the teeth.
Never hurt anybody. Nope. It's like a vegetable. Here he is, just straight run, right side. Out to the 24.
Well, you mentioned this Florida defense. Now think about this. This is their 3rd road game. They went to LSU and they went to Kentucky. In both of those games, they held Kentucky and LSU to under 100 yards rushing and under 100 yards passing. I mean, they just put the clamps down, and they've done pretty much the same thing tonight.
2nd and 4. They fake the inside handoff. Ralph goes for a yard, maybe 2.
Now that snap was low, and because it was low, it disrupted the timing a little bit on that fake handoff, and Ralph got a slow start into the hole. And again, the speed of this Florida defense, I mean, you have to execute at a very high speed level. Low snap, messed up the timing a little bit, and then the gap closed quickly.
Brandon Hicks is the guy that made the stop, and that brings up a 3rd down and 3. 0 for 7 on 3rd down conversions for the Bulldogs. 0 for 8. Hunter and Stamper combined on the hit. 4th down and about a yard.
Well, the only good thing for Mississippi State is that they got the ball out from inside their own 10-yard line.
Right.
So they give their punter a little bit of room, and going to have to lean heavily on their defense again. Boy, 3rd downs, Florida has just been unbelievable this year. Unbelievable.
Defensively, they've kept Mississippi State 0 for 8. Now tonight, and Hutchins, it's going to be a fake. End around. He's not going to fell down. Robert Elliott, fake punt. That didn't work at all. Backfired. It looked like he might have had enough room.
Well, first of all, Rainey almost got another block. I mean, he was in there so quickly that, watch, Rainey's going to hit the punter and mess up the timing here. And by the time he got the football, he was already behind it.
I don't think Nelson would have let him get to the first down anyway had he not slipped. There's Nelson coming over, and he had a beat on it.
Oh, boy.
So there's a big mistake. The 2nd of the night on the punting unit. One by a block punt, that by a fake punt that didn't work. And now Florida might be in the driver's seat if they can score. Tebow fires high, incomplete. Deontay Thompson, the intended receiver. 11:41 remaining in the 4th quarter. That's a decision Dan Mullen may regret for the rest of his year.
Well, he's been a play caller for the last several years for Urban Meyer. That time with the head coach headsets on, a little different decision.
Here's the give to Rainey. Broken tackle down to about the 16-yard line. Jamar Chaney with another tackle, the middle linebacker, number 22. Well, Mississippi State's been marvelous tonight when Florida's gotten down there. Florida, 4 red zone trips. They've got 3 field goals and an interception. Kyle Torbish has done a nice job with this group. They need another stop here. Even if they force a field goal, that would be a victory of sorts for Mississippi State. 3rd and 4. Tebow on rhythm. I think short, though, is Hernandez. Looks to be a couple feet shy of the first down.
That's kind of got to be Hernandez, too. I mean, he's got to know where that first down marker is and get to the spot. He gets it and then comes back and then tries to reach for that spot. Of course, that yellow line not always perfect, but you can see 4th down. And
4th down and about a foot and a half.
And the problems have been when they go to shotgun, Mississippi State, either by their defensive line penetration or the last time Jamar Chaney with a blitz have gotten into the backfield before Tebow gets to the line of scrimmage.
Play clock at 2. Tebow, he's got it. Was there a timeout called? I think there might be a timeout that was called before that ball got snapped.
Timeout, Florida. 2nd timeout of the half.
10-10 remaining in the ball game. It has not gone so smoothly tonight for the #1 team in the country. So Urban Meyer called that timeout before the snap. It's 4th down.
And here's the problem. They showed their hand. They showed what play they wanted before the timeout because they didn't hear it in time. Last time they pulled the guard, the backside guard, and led with the fullback and the backside guard to the left side of the center.
Tebow, and he's got the same result. In fact, a little better than the last run. So many times, as Dan Mullen has said, and so have other coaches around the conference, we know what's coming. Sometimes we just can't stop it. So that's first and goal just inside the 9. Rainey and Burgess in there with Tebow. Florida's converted as many 4th downs as they had 3rd downs tonight. This time on 1st down, maybe a yard. Marcus Washington made the stop on Tim Tebow. 2nd down and goal.
Marcus Washington.
Steve Adazio looking at that chart. That 20 times tonight has called number 15's number, or Tebow has called it himself.
27 carries last week against Arkansas.
An eye backfield and Tebow under center. What have we seen this tonight? Try never. Rainey, touchdown.
Not a bad choice.
Chris Rainey with a touchdown run.
Boy, a great block by Rick Burgess, the fullback, number 48. Carl Johnson, the left tackle, with a nice block. They really fooled the Mississippi State defense with that under center by Tebow and just a straight I formation power football play.
Caleb Sturgis in for the point after with 9:08 remaining. And he missed the extra points. Well, seen a little bit of everything, haven't we? A bad kick with a bad snap. This was a bad fake punt. That led to the 22-yard touchdown drive by the top-ranked Gators with 9:08 remaining. They lead 22-13.
Aflac, we've got you under our way.
Back in Starkville, Brad Nessler, Todd Blackledge, Aaron Andrews, and our ESPN crew on our Saturday night primetime. The SEC on ESPN, where Florida now has extended its lead. They only had to go 22 yards to get Chris Rainey's 3rd rushing touchdown of the year from 8 yards out. And they lead 22-13. Extra point missed, but it really doesn't matter. And a 9-point difference. Unless, of course, Mississippi State can get something going and get 2 scores. Their offense has been really struggling tonight. They'll have to work from the 20-yard line. Now coming up on Monday Night Football, NFC East clash. Donovan McNabb and the Philadelphia Eagles taking on Clinton Portis and the Washington Redskins. 8:30 Monday night. All gets underway with Monday Night Countdown, served by Applebee's at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Well, it's been tough sledding for Mississippi State tonight offensively, to say the least. 84 rushing yards, and that guy on the left alone was accounting for 116 per game himself. And a penalty marker down.
Prior to the snap, false start, 55 on the offense, 25 yards, down remains first.
Well, you saw those numbers averaging 219 yards a game on the ground. And they have done a much better job running the football in Dan Mullen's offense. But this and then Alabama in a couple weeks are clearly the 2 best defenses they'll face.
Nicely, quick throw off play action. Got it to the 25. We go quickly to restate it.
All right, Brad, Iowa, Michigan State coming right down to the end of the game. This late in the 4th quarter, Brandon Wagers never lost a fumble. He put this on the ground, but it was ruled down, did review it, gave Iowa a chance to kick the go-ahead field goal. A few moments ago, Kirk Cousins to Brian Linthicum, at least shades of that old Boise State play. Blair White gets it deep in Iowa territory.
Interception by Florida. Penalty markers down as Dustin Joe takes it into the end zone. Again, flags on the field. The ball was tipped at the line of scrimmage.
Illegal shift on the offense. Penalty decline. Touchdown.
Well, the second time we've seen Brandon Hicks. Here's the end of the play. Dustin Doe doing a little celebrating, a little high stepping. Did he lose the ball before he got into the end zone? Premature celebration by Dustin Doe after the interception.
And that's what Dan Mullen's talking about right now. You assume the officials are going to look at this, and they have whistled it now to take a look upstairs. Again, stripped from behind. The question being, was the ball out before he crossed the end zone line? Oh, man. That's a tough one to call.
Yeah.
You see the referee signaling touchdown, so it was ruled a touchdown on the field, and you have to have indisputable video evidence to overturn it. And
well, regardless of how this call goes, for Urban Meyer, I mean, he will definitely tell Dustin Doe, not again.
Yeah.
You know, if turnovers have been an issue for this team offensively and not taking care of the football, and that was clearly a case of a guy just not waiting till he got across the goal line cleanly and safely to celebrate with his team. Has no idea that McCray is coming from behind him. The arm is back. Well, I'll tell you what, from that
I think
angle,
it's out.
From that angle, that's tough.
And then it's covered by McCray, who made the play and stayed with it. That'd be a touchback.
Yeah. Very Leon Lettish here.
That's what I was just thinking.
Jeez.
Well, here comes an all-important call.
After further review, the play stands. It's called. Touchdown.
I don't know. I'm not sure I agree, but that's the call.
Well, it was a great hustle play by Brandon McCray, not giving up on the play. And it was not a real smart play by Dustin Doe. Nice job on the interception, but play wasn't completely over, and you got a little careless with the football.
I still think from that angle it looked like it was out. So the extra point by Sturgis to try to make it 29-13, and it's up and good. Well, that was a huge momentum shift if Florida even had to shift any momentum. They've got command right now with 8:25 to go.
Plus, who benefits more from a washout in the Bronx after the game?
Dustin Doe just made the interception return for a score that might ice this for #1 Florida. But when you take a look at these two shots synced up, one from one side, one from the other, those are synced up shots by our guys in the truck. It appears to me that the ball is behind at about the 1 yard line and already out of his hand.
Yeah, that's about as clear a look as we're going to get from it.
And again, they didn't feel that they had indisputable video evidence to overturn what was called on the field, which was a touchdown. And so Florida leads 29-13.
And shouldn't take away from the play that Brandon Hicks made on the rush and getting the deflection that led to the interception. But
Leon Berry with a kick return from the 4. Berry, 35, out to the 39, almost the 40-yard line. Well, the chase is at the halfway point. NASCAR Sprint Cup continues at Martinsville tomorrow. Jimmy Johnson in front. Mark Martin, Jeff Gordon trying to close the gap a little bit. Coverage starts at 1 o'clock Eastern on ABC, presented by Goodyear. Well, now it's going to be a sprint for Mississippi State to have any chance in this ball game with 8 minutes and change remaining, and their offense has been sputtering against this very, very good Florida defense all night long. And you wouldn't think they have 16 quick points they can put up in the next 8 minutes and 17 seconds. Lee, low snap, play action. Now he'll tuck it and get what he can, and it isn't much. Joe Hayden made the tackle for Florida.
And we've seen now in 3 consecutive weeks 3 outstanding defensive football teams.
We sure have.
Texas against Colorado, and Alabama last week against South Carolina, now Florida tonight. It's kind of scary to think how Florida, how good they are, and they don't even have their best leader in there in Brandon Spikes. They've got a couple other defensive linemen not playing tonight. They're trying to get back.
Center moved the ball, double clutched to snap it in the shotgun, and that's going to be a false start on Mississippi
Right
State.
to the snap, false start. Number 70 on offense, penalty 5 yards, down remains second.
Todd, you know what's going to be interesting now is Florida, for 3 quarters, struggled against an unranked Mississippi State team. Tennessee had a field goal that would have won it against Alabama.
Right.
And Texas, the last time Reese gave us a report, was cruising at halftime. So it'll be fun when the BCS standings come out about 7:30 tomorrow night. Here's a draw play to Dixon. There hasn't been enough of this tonight. Nice stiff arm, and he dives close to a first down.
The reason that both Tennessee or Alabama and Florida struggled some today, I mean Alabama for the entire game and Florida, as you mentioned, for the first 3 quarters, is because there's some limitations in their passing games. I mean Alabama is limited throwing the football, and they've got Mark Ingram and they've got a great receiver in Julio Jones, but Greg McElroy, their first-year starting quarterback, they just have not thrown the ball consistently well against better defenses. Tim Tebow and the Florida offense, you just keep waiting for them to turn the corner and become more explosive. You think they've got the potential to be more explosive, but their passing game, they don't get big chunks down the field this year. And you know, they've missed Percy Harvin, obviously, and Lewis Murphy, but it's different. You look at these 3 teams, and I kind of looked at stats and other things and how I compare them. Running offense, I think Alabama and Florida are really close, both better than Texas. Pass offense, Colt McCoy, I think they're just more accomplished throwing the football. When it comes to defense, they are all 3 outstanding. I think Alabama may be a little more solid in the run. Special teams, we've seen it tonight. Florida outstanding. Turnover margin is what's really hurt Florida this year. And then the bell cow down there, to me, is the most important, because when the game's on the line, when it's crunch time, I like Tim Tebow being able to put his team on his back. And Texas has Colt McCoy, and Mark Ingram's a great one, but he's one-dimensional. He's not going to hurt you throwing and running, only running the football.
Clock winding down near the 7-minute mark. Lee, here's a counter again to Dixon. It worked a little better last time. He's got a first down, though, at the 48-yard line. And that is 3rd down conversion #1. When you go down to 7 minutes remaining in the game, that ain't good.
No. And that's been Florida's MO. I mean, when they have gone on the road, they have just made it miserable. I mean, Arkansas last week was only 2 of 13 on 3rd down.
Doesn't Tyson Lee have to just drop back there and say, I'm going to throw one up here and see if somebody can catch it? Because time is of the essence. Here goes the out, and it's complete. Short of the first down to Wilder.
The thing about this Florida defense that I think makes them the best pass defense in the country is they've got 2 corners in Janoris Jenkins and Joe Hayden that are outstanding man-to-man coverage guys. And when you have 2, boy, that frees you up to do a lot of things pressure-wise and confusion-wise, and because you know you've got 2 guys that can lock it down on the outside.
Again, the clock becoming Mississippi State's enemy if they don't start snapping it here pretty soon. They're still a yard or so shy of the first down. Option is a pitch to Dixon. He danced a little too much again, and he's dropped shy of the first down. So not the kind of night that Anthony Dixon, the all-time leading rusher in Mississippi State history, had hoped for, that's for sure. Longest winning streaks. Florida came in riding a 16-gamer. Iowa, Michigan State going down to the wire. Texas with 10 and with a big lead at halftime. Moved down to 2. Got to start to hurry. Clock just ticking away. And this one looks like it's going to be a first down run. That'll momentarily stop the clock. Oh, they put it down. They didn't spot it where I thought it went down. So they might have to take a look at it, or it's going to be 4th and short. Well, when this guy starts recruiting down here, and he's done a nice job, Dan says, keeping the best players in Mississippi and in Starkville. And in a lot of cases, that'll be good enough. It is that much shy of the first down.
Yeah, there's some talent down here. They play a good brand of high school football in the state of Mississippi. Got a lot of junior colleges here in Mississippi that do a nice job coaching and preparing guys. And
I like the names he threw out when he was talking about you can't let guys like Jerry Rice and Walter Payton get out of state. I said, that's two pretty good. We have Brett Favre, the Southern Mill. Yeah, not Starkville. 4th down and inches. Any hopes for the Bulldogs? And they're just trying to draw Florida offside. Now they shift into the shotgun. Will Dixon get it? Nope, Lee's going to keep it. He's got it. Tough little quarterback. Mentioned earlier, had to sell himself to schools. They didn't even want him as a preferred walk-on here at Mississippi State. Went to Columbus Junior College, born in Columbus, Mississippi, and stuck around, and all of a sudden they couldn't get him off the field. He's on scholarship now, and he's the starter. He has some limitations because of his size, but he is a tough guy, and he's done all he can tonight. But 4 minutes and 15 seconds, all that separates Mississippi State from a disappointing loss to Florida after 3 really good quarters. Lee going deep, and it's intercepted. Right down at about the 2-yard line by Major Wright.
Well, I mentioned the corners that can play man-to-man. Oh, yeah, Florida also has 3 safeties that could start for just about anybody in the country. Major Wright gets the interception on this one.
8 Spartans down 9-6, under 2 minutes to go. Kirk Cousins, Blair White, Sparty takes the lead. Rolling up 13-9, but Ricky Stanzi led a drive down the field. 2 seconds to go. Last play of the game, 4th and goal. Hello, McNutt. Marvin McNutt, and Iowa does it again, escaping against Michigan State, 15-13.
Wow. Iowa, much like last year in the waning moments against Penn State to ruin their undefeated season, they pull out another win, so that winning streak stays alive. This one is going to stay alive. Florida's will go to 17 in a row, barring some sort of catastrophe for Tim Tebow and the Florida offense. They do have to start basically in their own end zone, though. Tebow drops back, and he's hit as he throws. Intercepted.
Are you kidding me?
This will be a touchdown. Guess who? Jonathan Banks for the 2nd time tonight.
Well, Pernell McPhee, the young man from Pahokee, Florida, is the guy who gets the pressure. Watch him coming from your left. Gets in between the block, hits the arm of Tebow on the throw, and Jonathan Banks is able to corral it and take it into the end zone.
I said barring a major catastrophe, that's catastrophe number 1. They'll go for 2 here to try to make it a 1-possession game. Oh, man. We said earlier Jonathan Banks won't soon forget this night. Neither will the Mississippi State fans that are out in the parking lot right now. They just heard the noise and they're going, wait a minute, what happened? Big 2-point conversion. Dupree in there with Lee. And around. Bumpus. He wants to throw it. He won't get rid of it. Joe Hayden with another big play defensively for Florida. Well, it's still not over, though.
Well, the first thing we do when we come up here is take her out to eat.
She needs a good meal, and we need to catch up. I love when they come visit, and so do my roommates.
Try Olive Garden's new Mezzaluna's Half Moon Ravioli stuffed with 4 Italian cheeses. Try the shrimp and white wine cream sauce or the savory sausage and tomato Alfredo, starting at just $9.95 with unlimited salad and breadsticks.
I just like to know my little girl's okay.
Daddy.
Olive Garden, when you're here, you're family.
Hey.
Mr. Jones.
Would you mind if I paid you in gum?
That's me Trident Layers. Gum with layers of flavors. Of course you can pay me in gum.
I'd be crazy not to get paid in Trident Layers.
We weren't allowed to. Delicious strawberry with tasty citrus.
I love Trident.
For a touchdown, 29-19, 2-point conversion failed. Ledge, we've had 3 pick sixes tonight, 2 by this kid, and 1 that's still iffy in my mind by Florida.
Well, really 3 plays in this game that the game is really hinged on. 2 special teams plays, the block punt that Florida had, and then the botched fake punt Mississippi State tried. And then the interception returned by Dustin Doe that was called a touchdown. It was reviewed, and the call was upheld. And when we got our last couple looks at it, boy, it sure didn't look like it was a touchdown.
And remember, that would have been a touchback.
Right.
And Mississippi State ball at their own 20 instead of 7 points for Florida. So a lot of twists and turns in this SEC matchup on ESPN tonight. 3:51 remaining. Florida may not have been anticipating a deep kick, and it's picked up at the 1 by James. I'm not sure that was a very good move.
Well, I think he thought it was going to bounce out of bounds. And it stayed in bounds and was kind of moving slowly towards the goal line. And I think he kind of got stuck in what to do with it.
Well, it's free ball down there at the 2-foot line. So
Florida was definitely ready for the onside kick. They had their onside hands team in there. And Mississippi State, a very perfectly placed kick right into the corner for Brandon James.
It was kind of just rolling dead down there at the 1-yard line. And so it's really the only choice he had. Either that or let a whole pack of Bulldogs come down there and try to cover it. Here's the play we were talking about.
Yeah,
the tip. And Dustin Doe, and again, right there, the ball is stripped. And while the officials said touchdown, which was what was called on the field, we had 2 stop action shots that were synced together that appeared that the ball might have been out at about the 2-yard line, and it maybe should have been a touchback for Mississippi State.
Meanwhile, we're going to have to kick the ball again because Mississippi State was called for being offsides on the kickoff. Even though it wasn't an onside kick attempt, they got called for offside. Usually you see that when a team's trying to kick an onside kick, which they did not do.
That's a good call.
Right there.
Yep. Might have been Banks. Or was it Jones? Jamie Jones, I think. Florida, if they get out of here in the next 3:43 to get back to Gainesville, it's going to be one giant sigh of relief just escaping this place. Much like Alabama had today on their own field. Urban Meyer, one of the youngest coaches ever to have 2 national championships to his credit at his young age of 44. Barry Switzer was the youngest. And on the other side, 37-year-old Dan Mullen trying to put a program together here at Mississippi State. Here comes a quick kick. This one will be fielded by James, though, at the 18-yard line after that penalty. He just kind of cruised, and Brandon James, now he turns on the Jets. And a nice return all the way out to midfield.
Yeah, they kind of lost the element of surprise with that kick from the offsides penalty, and that time they didn't get it in the right location or with the right depth, and Brandon James was able to bring it all the way back to midfield.
That's about a 45-yard difference.
Yeah.
In yardage. So now Florida Mississippi State has all its timeouts remaining. Florida with a 10-point lead. 3.5 minutes to go. And Mississippi State will have to start using some of those timeouts if the Gators put a couple of first downs together here. And Tim Tebow is going to go straight ahead for a tough 2 yards. 88 yards on the ground for Tim tonight. And again, he has run it for 22 rushes after 27 last week. And Mississippi State uses its first time out. Well, a lot of chatter going on about college football scores and highlights in section 140, powered by Windows Phone. You can learn more and join in the discussion. Text 140 to 4ESPN from your mobile phone. Well, there's probably some people that using their mobile phones tonight to go, you know what? We're 3 points away from tying things up with the #1 team in the country. And, you know, really a good performance by Mississippi State. It looks like they're going to come up short, but 2 interception returns for scores tonight against Tim Tebow. That puts a blemish on his night, that's for sure. Yeah, it does. And for the whole Florida offense, I mean, they've got some issues. You know, I wasn't sure how deep the issues were, and watching them on tape and then getting a chance to watch them in person tonight, they just kind of look like they're plodding a little bit. You know, they don't look fine-tuned. They don't look like they have the ability to really attack down the field like they did in the past. I mean, Riley Cooper is a pretty nice receiver, but it's really obvious how much they miss those guys, Percy Harvin and Lewis Murphy from last year. Here's Rainey, broke a tackle, won't get away a second time. And that probably will make Mississippi State take another timeout. Let's see. 3:18. And there goes their second of 3. Monday Night Football. Don't forget, NFC East battle gets underway with NFL Monday Night Countdown. Served by Applebee's at 7. Then we'll serve you up Donovan McNabb and the Philadelphia Eagles against Clinton Portis and the Washington Redskins. 8:30 Eastern Time Monday night. Well, here Florida is going to run its streak to 17 victories in a row. And you look at the top 5 in the country. Here's Todd's look. Yeah, I mean, that's what I had coming in, and I'm pretty much sticking with that. I still think the defenses of those top 2 teams are still the strength of their team. Are going to keep them in every single ball game. Big win by Iowa tonight, and USC, I think they just are getting better and better. Well, I switched my top 2 teams to put Florida in front after I didn't think the passing game of Alabama was that strong. Cincinnati's in my top 5, E.
Yeah, and mine took a little bit of thinking, too. I've listened to Todd Blackledge too much about the whole quarterback thing with Tebow and McCoy. I just feel like when the game is on the line, those 2, you know, can get it done. I'm not sure about McElroy yet, and that's why I slipped them down to 3.
Yep. Here's a little swing pass out to Rainey. Got around the corner. Trying to stay in bounds and can't. Chris White knocked him out. I'll tell you the other team that is really right there outside close by the chicken coop is TCU. I mean, and, you know, we got Boise State that's an undefeated non-BCS team also, but I'll tell you, TCU, that's an impressive win for them up in Provo today. And I like their balance. Scores run on the bottom of your screen right now. Georgia Tech with a huge one in Charlottesville today, and I think that should maybe propel Georgia Tech into the top 10. This one-loss team. Speaking of one-loss teams, how about the job Chip Kelly is doing at Oregon? After that opening loss to Boise and the incident afterwards, and everybody was saying Chip Kelly was in over his head? I don't think so. Here's a punt down. Going to make it to the end zone. So just under 3 minutes remaining in the ball game. Mississippi State's going to get it back. Sports Center will be following us in a little less than 3 minutes. We'll talk about the great escape for Alabama. ACC overtime upset Clemson. That is a big, big win for them against Miami. And top 10 shocker. Stick around, see about that. Here, it looked at times like there might be a shocker. And Florida had not beaten Mississippi State in Starkville since 1985. They had wins in 86, 92, 2000, and 2004. The last meeting at 38-31, Mississippi State win in 2004. But tonight, not quite enough magic. Some huge plays by the Mississippi State defense. Not enough by the Bulldog offense. One-handed catch by Bumpus. That's the guy they wanted to get somehow involved. They think he's going to really be a big-time player. Not the biggest in stature, but lightning quick. But he's been bottled up tonight, too, offensively.
No, he was actually strongly considering going to Florida. Was recruited by Dan Mullen out of Tupelo, Mississippi. And when Mullen got the job here, he switched and said he was going to Mississippi State.
Oh, Lee just got buried as he was trying to find a receiver, and he didn't have time because Jermaine Cunningham was coming in there in a hurry. Cunningham and Dunlap, they're two pretty good ones on the outside too.
Yeah, they're very quick. That was an inside stunt, and Cunningham leading the team. That was his 4th sack on the season. Very, very quick off the ball, and especially when they know there's no run threat. Right. When it's pass only, boy, it's really tough.
Approaching 2 minutes. Lee, low snap from center, fires in a hurry, got it complete to Marcus Green, his tight end. And it's 4th down and 5. Again, an empty backfield. They're going to have to go here with 1 timeout remaining and down to 1:45. Try to pick up the first down. And it's intercepted again by the Gators, and this is a touchdown. Penalty markers down as Ahmad Black takes it in the end zone.
I think it's going to be a roughing the passer. He was hit in the face at the end of the play. Tyson Lee was, but regardless, that was well played by Ahmad Black.
That would have been, if they take it away, our 4th interception return for a touchdown on the night.
Personal foul, roughing the passer. Number 41 on the defense. Contact to the passer's helmet. 15 yards, automatic. First down.
So instead, it's a first down. They'll walk it out to about the 40-yard line. There's another look.
And Ryan Stamper on a blitz coming inside. He didn't even see the quarterback. He just reached his hand up there instinctively and hit Tyson Lee in the face. Didn't even see his face, but made contact, and that's the right call. Great pass rush. I mean, that's a bull rush running right over Craig Jenkins,
who's 315 pounds. And you're right, that was not intentional. It was just an instinctive trying to get around the blocker, get your hand up in the air. Lee, quick throw, complete out to Wilder. Mississippi State, 1 timeout remaining. They could just get one big play. We still might have a crazy finish.
Florida playing with 2 deep safeties right now to just prevent just that, not giving up a big one.
And now he's going to lose yardage as he keeps it on a quarterback draw, trying to catch Florida off guard a little bit. Had 5 receivers out there. And we're approaching 1 minute. There'll be better nights for that guy down the road somewhere. This one wasn't bad for 3 quarters, that's for sure. Lee has time, and on a crossing route completes it to Dupree, and he should have the first down. It is just shaded on the Florida side of the 50. 43 seconds, trailing by 10. We'll take a couple of Mississippi State miracles here. Here comes the pass rush again. Lee straddling the line of scrimmage. Now he has to run it. Stamper's been a busy middle linebacker in there for Brandon Spikes. And Florida coaches said With Spikes out of there, between he and Joe Hayden, they're the guys that have to take over the leadership role, and they've both done a good job of it.
Well, and again, the difference was significant. I mean, last week against Arkansas, Spikes started the game, was playing, and had to come out. And then they had to adjust on the fly, and that was a very difficult thing to do. This week, they kind of knew Spikes wouldn't play, or there was a good chance he wouldn't. And so Stamper's been in there all week as the starting middle linebacker.
And Lee goes down. That might end up being the last play of the ball game. Dunlap, unless they call timeout. Dan Mullen has a look up at that scoreboard. The seconds tick away. And he's going to take his headset off and say, well, we'll try it again some other day. So Florida will have a 17-game winning streak as they get ready to go to Jacksonville to take on the Georgia Bulldogs, who had the weekend off to prepare for the #1 team in the country. Will they still be #1 next week and tomorrow with the BCS standings? Well, they don't hurt themselves. Not overly impressive at times, but as two guys that have been together a long time come out to midfield for a handshake and a few words. And a big smile from even the losing coach. And he's smiling more than the winning coach, I think, because Urban Meyer knows that his team did not play great again tonight. And he'll probably have to hear a lot of the same stories that he's been hearing all week long. And there's Coach Mullen and Tim Tebow with the embrace out there in midfield. Tebow wins another one. He ties an SEC record for rushing touchdowns, matching Herschel Walker, and Florida wins 29-19 as we go down to Aaron.
Brad, thanks. Coach, I know you said, facing Dan Mullen wasn't the storyline. You had a nice little chat. What did you guys talk about?
Well, he ran that fake punt. I was getting ready to call a safe punt, but we have a little something we do when we call a fake punt, and he was doing it, so we didn't call it. He almost got it. So he's got a good team. He's got a good team. He's doing a good job.
You told us on the conference call the two things you stressed, went nuts about: red zone efficiency, turnovers. I see you shaking your head. What gave you guys so much trouble?
Oh, just, I put Tim in a couple bad positions down there, and then also to take a shot right at the end. We knew they were going to expect us to run 10. They were wide open. We just had a protection miscue, but I put him in tough positions. We just, you get anxious. You want to score points. And we didn't do it tonight. We got to take care of the ball in the red zone.
I know he won't be happy about those 2 pick six, but what will you stress to him this coming week before you face Georgia?
Tim's fine. Tim, that was a guy getting hit, and Tim's fine. He's a great quarterback. We just have to do a better job as coaches with that guy.
Another grinder. I know you love him.
Unbelievable. It's a win, 7-0.
Thanks, Coach. Brad.
7-0, 5-0 in SEC play. Another grinder. Coach with a 17-game winning streak now. 29-19, the final. Florida a winner over Mississippi State. That's going to do it from Starkville. For Todd Blackledge, Aaron Andrews, our entire ESPN crew, Brad Nessler saying so long from Starkville. Stay tuned. Sports Center is next.
Sports Center.
Alabama escape artist, how #2 avoided upset. Texas manhandles Mizzou in their own house while one of the last unbeatens lives on the edge. Plus,
the middle caught for into the end zone. Clemson wins.
Inside a heartbreaking overtime upset in Miami. Here we go again. The Irish at the center of more last-minute drama, and the Trojans eyeing some